Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Inspection Connections. I am your host, the often imitated but never duplicated, the overcaffeinated but underappreciated Master Inspector, limitless well of knowledge and purveyor of wisdom extraordinaire, Vito Bianca, CMI, and with me as always, my very special co-host, the mogul of managers, the queen of customer service, and the world champion whack-a-mole player, Aiden. She is tougher than Ronda Rousey. She's better on the mic than Rowdy Roddy. And don't make her mad because she's got a dark side like Aleister Crowley. Rowley. How are you today, Aiden?
I'm doing wonderful, Vito. And our folks listening don't know that this is our second take, since considering we are having some technical difficulties this morning. The universe is trying to get us to stop over our head.
It's worse than, you're too young to remember this, but, you know, back in analog phone days, if you didn't do anything with the phone and had it off the hook, it would eventually ring and it would say, if you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. I feel like that's me with the universe today. I'm not getting enough sleep. The coffee doesn't seem to be working, and that's a whole nother episode. It feels like a complete betrayal. I mean, what the hell do you do when the coffee doesn't work? Good Lord. And I'm struggling to generate energy from my vast reserves. But you know what? I did get a little better sleep last night. I remember not moving, not dreaming. And when I opened my eyes this morning, the first thought in my mind was, oh, that's been the issue. So I'm feeling a little better, but it's probably going to take a few days of sleeping well to get back to my normal, boisterous, irrepressible, ray of sunshine self that you're all, knowing and loving.
Vito, have you ever dreamt of inspecting?
Sometimes. I dream of inspecting in my underwear. It's not pretty.
Do you think the inspections you do in your dreams counts towards your CMI?
I hope so. But you know what? I did learn some interesting news is that when I do teaching, whether it's for our own inspectors, other inspectors, or even real estate agents, that counts towards my CE credits as part of the mentorship program through InterNACHI. Isn't that cool?
That's incredible. You, as always, we always discuss all the things that you do, which is a sheet that we'll never be able to cover in the episodes that we do.
I agree.
But you just continue to add to your talent.
See, I don't think we talk enough about my awesome humility. That we need to really bring to the forefront just how humble I truly am.
I think it's overlooked.
Oh God. What about you? How's your week been?
I don't know that it's been good or bad. I'm feeling a little neutral and indifferent. Every day is just a new step, and then it's hopefully the right direction.
General malaise.
Not feeling melancholy, not feeling super joyous, just kind of existing today, Vito.
Can't be passive about home inspections, Aiden. You've got
you're correct.
Bang it on the nose with the rolled up newspaper of justice. Bad dog.
Get ready to throw my sandal.
There you go. Chin up, chest out, and watch for the shoe.
I love it. You had mentioned that you had some topics that you kind of wanted to bring up today. Maybe you can get our ball rolling.
But that feels like work. Nobody comes here to actually talk about work. I mean, if we have to, fine, because I did get some important questions this week. It was from an agent partner. And you know, we got in a discussion regarding how inspections have changed over the years, and frankly, that makes her job harder. And I'm like, it makes my job harder too. It's harder for home buyers in general. So I thought maybe we could touch on that and see where it takes us as we meander through the woods in search of truth today.
Interesting. So just so I can understand kind of where you're going with that, it seems like as time has progressed, the way we conduct inspections in the general sense has kind of changed over the years, probably for the better and the worse. But we're also making things more difficult for ourselves and our partners, maybe?
Oh, my God. Think about this. There didn't used to be Florida laws governing the home inspection. Now we have state standards, and those define the education and the training and the CE maintenance and the licensing and the insurance in a way that protects the home buyer, right? Mm-hmm. And when you compound that with inspectors competing with one another, down south, they're offering estimates with every home inspection. All over the place, trade associations have sprung up like FABI, InterNACHI's another one, and ASHI, and they're constantly in competition with new and innovative ways to sell education and training and equipment to the home inspectors. And the home inspectors, in turn, have been competing with one another across the board. I mean, with what each one is doing and offering and everything. So before, back in the day, you would get a basic inspection. It would be, big stuff only, maybe some additional stuff. It was on paper. And now you've got these digital platforms, thermal scanning. We're doing this, we're doing that. We're finding every crack and crevice in your home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Reports have gotten huge. And there's one other thing, too, that further complicates it. And that's you've got inspectors with no real experience or training, yet they're licensed and insured and doing home inspections. And they think the name of the game is, look how many problems I found for you. And they don't own a home. They're not really, they lack the judgment, I'll say. Let's call it judgment. I don't know, the general, I don't know what you call it, but to separate the things that matter from the things that don't matter. So all the home buyer gets is a 150-page list of everything the inspector could see. And they have no idea what to do with it. And the realtor's like, oh, my God. And then the home buyer just walks away in frustration. I mean, think about how much work went into just getting us there, right? They have searched for the right real estate agent. They have gone through all the steps to get approved for a loan. They've looked at all the listings. They've gone to open houses. They've searched for the right neighborhood, the right school district, the right taxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the right insurance, all these things, and finally have gotten an offer accepted for a price they're willing to suffer through. And then the home inspector comes in and effectively dumps 150 pages of crap on them.
Two things, Vito.
What's that?
Two things. I was going to say two things, Vito. So, from my understanding, from what you've talked about, it sounds like, starting talking about the competition between the education portion and the competition between, inspectors and inspector companies, they're getting too far down the rabbit hole that they're losing sight of, one, what actually matters, and two, what the basis of being a home inspector is.
Yeah, but you can't put that genie back in the bottle. You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. It's because once it's done, then that puts the pressure on the other inspectors to offer the same thing and do better. So this is what it is. Inspections are evolving. The technology is evolving. The service is getting better. There's really not much going back to prehistoric times. I mean, you could argue that the bicycle with the one big wheel in the front was the better way to do it. It doesn't mean that we're going to be, riding around in top hats and tailcoats.
Yeah. I guess my question is, I mean, do you think that it's something that we can kind of change the narrative in our own standards of, not being a part of the process that disqualifies or qualifies a home to go to closing? I mean, it's just implying the information and being a step in the process before closing.
Potentially, it's a good question, but there's another thing to consider though, and that's nothing I say as a home inspector should kill the deal. If you take, we don't kill deals, we tell stories. We tell the story of the house that we're inspecting at the time we inspected it. If you go back a minute ago and revisit all the things that home buyer just had to go through to get me there, I mean, that's their dream home, right? Nothing I say should be able to convince them not to buy their dream home. So what I will say in that answer is there has to be a partnership. It's not just home inspectors that have to do better. Agents too, to our agent partners, and most of you know this instinctively, if not articulated, is that you're never going to succeed if you're cramming people into houses they don't really love and can't afford. That's why your job is so hard. That's why the commission structure, maybe you could argue it doesn't pay enough, but it pays good for the right houses, and I personally know how hard you work for that money. So, but there has to be a partnership. If we're going to step up, we need our agents to understand that there's things they can do to make their jobs less difficult, especially when it comes to the arena of home inspections and dealing with home buyers and sellers. And that's what I'm thinking we could kind of explore today.
I love it. Now, you said you had spoken to a realtor and some of these questions had popped up. Do you remember some of the questions specifically?
Well, rather than repeat the exact questions, I would rather take the general overview of the discussion, right? So,
yeah.
So let's talk about, some of these challenges faced by the agents. And the biggest one is, as the more thorough inspections get, the harder it is for them to navigate everything, right? Because as an agent, you're not supposed to be a contractor. You're not supposed to be a home inspector, and you're not. On the one hand, you're not supposed to tell your client what to think about the defects, right? Or what's important and what's not. But on the other hand, you're looking to promote their best interests and protect them. And plus you have to disclose if there's any if you have any financial ties, including that of your broker. So when you're selecting a home inspector, are you going to select the cheapest inspector? Are you going to select the softest reporting inspector, or the one that pays to be on your broker list? I mean, no, and hell no. You're already in conflict. Your own ethics already have you in conflict. So it kind of behooves you to recommend the best inspectors. But if I'm an agent, why would I do that knowing that's just going to make my job harder? Does that make sense? Are you keeping with me?
100%. Absolutely, Vito.
All right, so let's take it further. So let's answer that question. Why should I pick the best inspectors? Well, I would think, number one, even though it makes my job harder, um, it will protect my reputation and protect me from liability and ensure that hopefully, I'm dealing with I'm positioning myself as also being among the best at what I do. You know what I mean? But in order to do that successfully as an agent, they've got to be educated. They've got to know a little something about what a home inspection is and what it isn't, and have spent the time developing the relationship with their inspectors so that there's communication, that there's always context, that and here's the big one, that we're not sacrificing context as we get more thorough. In fact, the opposite has to be. As a home inspector, and this is something I noticed over the years, like I can't unsee things. I go to a house now and I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, I see so much. And some of it's important, a lot of it's not. And then there's a lot of things that, the chances of being important are really 1 in a million, 1 in 1,000, but I don't know for sure because to really know for sure, you would need some further evaluation. And those are the things right there. It's that area that kills more deals than anything else. But if we're doing the job right, we have to identify them. Newer inspectors are really not going to appreciate those things. Some of the old school inspectors, probably that's where the soft reporter guys come in, and they just don't care because those things are really not in the standards. I can see cracking, and I know that there's most cracking, it happens when the house is built. It just becomes stable. Maybe there's no gutters and it's just a little bit of soil is kind of washing around over time. So you get some hairline cracking. But then there's the 1 in a million that it could be something serious, but I can't tell you that. You'd have to like get that evaluated. It's not cheap, but it's also every house in Florida. So I could ignore it and just say cracked and move on, which technically isn't up to standards. Or I could say exactly what I said. It's cracking almost all the time. It means nothing. Every once in a while it could be serious. And you should probably keep an eye on it, maybe patch it up. And if it ever starts to get worse, then have somebody come look at it. Most of the time it's nothing. And that's fair to say, but it leaves a little gray area, right? If I have one instance like that, no problem. If there's 3 or 4 instances like that, now the house is in question. And the realtor's looking at me like, what are you doing, Vito? And all I'm doing is telling the story. So the more I see, the more I've got to be able to understand and put in context, which means the better communication I need with the agent, with the client, and educating our agents so they can understand also how to set expectations, I think is going to be very key, not just for our agent partners, but for all agents who deal with home inspectors, and that's all of them, moving forward.
Now, I have a question, and it might be kind of vague, and let me know.
Huh?
So, I mean, where is the balance between, a soft reporting style and the balance of also finding things that are not worth putting on a report?
So, I don't know what goes through the mind necessarily of soft reporters because I've never been one. I'm not a scary inspector, but I don't ignore potential issues either. So fortunately, I don't have to be the judge of that. That's what we have the standards of practice for, right? If I stay to the standards of practice, see, that's the value right there. That is the real value of having the standards of practice from the state, from InterNACHI. It means I don't have to guess. The state's telling me what's important. The state's telling me what to do and what not to do. If it's telling me not to, or I don't have to do something, there's a reason. Either the reason is because I could damage something. It could be because I might need a higher level of licensing or qualification to intelligently, report on that. Or it might mean, hey, you really don't know without doing invasive testing. So as long as I stick relatively to the standards, there are areas where they don't go far enough for the client or the agent. And that's where we come in with things like moisture meters and thermal cameras and offer ancillary services like mold testing and sewer scopes and pools and all of that, where we're qualified to. But the answer to your question, it's the standards that help us determine where to draw the line. And finding an inspector who is fully compliant with the standards without overstepping their bounds too far, that's really the mark of a professional, experienced, intelligent, reasonable inspector.
I may have a good example too, and you can probably touch some on it. So let's say an inspector gets into a property. He's obviously not licensed for pests and termite. However, he sees indications of wood rot. Although that's not the standard, is that something that you put in a report as a courtesy?
Wait, can you repeat that again for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So an inspector goes into a property. He's not licensed for pest or termite inspections. However, he sees indications or symptoms of wood rot. Or let's say he sees wings for termites. As a professional, he sees that. Is that something as a courtesy that should be put in a report still?
Well, it's interesting you brought that up specifically because pests and termite are not, so wood-destroying organisms are not part of the home inspection. You can walk right by it without saying anything. However, what is part of the home inspection is wood decay, and they use that language on purpose. Wood rot is a wood-destroying organism and is not part of the home inspection. It's part of the Florida Pest Control, Chapter 582. I think. Don't quote me on that, please. But wood decay, however, is part of the home inspection. And we are instructed where deterioration is observed to use a pick test. That's, you take a screwdriver and you push it into the wood and you kind of turn it sideways and splinter out some. And if it's soft, you got to call it out. So, I mean, unless it's obvious and you don't have to cause more damage. But in my early days, I had a instance like that. In fact, I wasn't even a home inspector. I was a termite inspector, and I was a termite inspector, and a home inspector had hired me to come do a WDO. And there were these. It was like an old, Southern style house with the big pillars in front. And the pillars had been like patched over. There was nothing holding those pillars up. I mean, there was rot a foot wide and a foot deep, and the pillars were about as wide as if I cupped my hands around like I was hugging a barrel or something. That's how big they were. And I mean, I started probing, and oh my God, just everything fell out, and they knew it. They had just patched it over. It was like, oh my God. I mean, you're a home seller. You can get mad at me all you want. Don't try and hide stuff like that. That's disgusting. I would have gone right to disclosure and gone, hello.
As somebody who likes to keep educated and still watches things home inspection related on, social media, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, that's
Sure.
probably one of the most common issues that I find that people post about. It's always the painted over wood rot or water damage to wood that is just simply painted over to be hidden.
Yeah, the sellers. I mean, most people are honest and take pride in ownership, and some people, but you're always going to find some, and it only takes one rotten apple to spoil the bunch, and unfortunately, those rotten apples exist. So let me use that as a further plug to our agents. This is why you need a good home inspector, a good one. Protect your clients, protect your own reputation, get a good home inspector. But how do you then use the good home inspector to your advantage and not just to make your life more difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say number one, educate yourself, educate your clients. You should be aware of the latest technologies, of the laws, of the basics of what a home inspection is, and be able to teach your clients a little bit, like give them the information they need to make informed decisions. How many of you, as our agents out there, actually tell them to read the standards of practice so they know what they're getting, or encourage them to go look at one of our sample reports so they know what is and is not part of a home inspection? Think about the power. Just doing that for your home buyers is twofold. One, it'll set their expectations. Two, it'll keep them busy. Maybe they can read that on Sunday night at 8 o'clock instead of calling you to tell you, that they don't like red paint. But seriously, and like for us, right? We try to help in that regard. We offer the Eye of the Inspector class. I teach it. I wrote it. It's good for 2 specialty CEs for our agents, and it does just that. It teaches them, what the home inspection is all about, why we do what we do, in a general overview of a way, how to use that information to help you, how to find a good home inspector, what you're looking for, et cetera, and how that differs from a 4-point inspection. Just that class alone.
I always love when we talk about our classes that we offer, especially the CE class. Now, for my information and those out there listening, what exactly is the CE class in the frame of they get 2 CE credits for attending this class? What is
right.
a CE credit?
Continuing education. Those are requirements set forth by the state to show that you are, while you're licensed, you're doing everything you can to stay current, to stay educated, to maintain your qualifications.
And why would that benefit them specifically? In what ways?
Having CEs or this class in particular?
Let's do both. Let's start with what the actual credits.
Okay, you've got to have your credits because without them, it means you could have gotten your license in '85, just paid for your renewals, and never sold a home, and now you're telling me you're qualified to help me find a house today? No, you got to stay current, and these are the minimums to stay current. As far as this class, like I just said, you want to get educated so you can educate your clients, so you know how to find a good home inspector, you know what the home inspection is about, you know how to use that to your advantage, and really it's there to help you as an agent succeed, because like we've already established time and time again, and like most of our agents already know through pleasure and pain repeatedly, so much is riding on the home inspection. That make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I liked that we kind of segued back to our original topic. it kind of goes back to what I said about not trying to be the qualifier or disqualifier to get to closing, but just a step in education through the process.
Sure. So education, number one. Number two, I would say build a network of trusted professionals. And by that, I mean, most of our agents have to recommend 3 inspectors. Well, they should be qualified, experienced home inspectors who are up to date, whether that's with the latest technologies or regulations or even best practices, right? Having a network of people you trust is key, not just for you, but for your clients.
And you can count on, I mean, it's one thing to get your report back. It's another to be able to ask questions after the inspection and be in constant communication with your inspector the way that we kind of offer. I think that's really vital. And you know what, I'd want to go back to setting expectations with clients. You've got to prepare them for the potential outcomes of any home inspection. Help your clients understand which issues are significant and which are not, which means as an agent, now you've got to know which are significant and which are not. And for you to do that means you need that relationship with a qualified home inspector who's not going to blow things out of proportion. If you can do just that much and prepare your clients in advance, you're going to win. You're going to win way more than you lose, and your home inspector will too. So, maybe some of the things you can do are a pre-inspection briefing. That's just before the inspection. Just have a discussion with the buyers about the purpose and scope of a home inspection. Let them know that the goal is to uncover any major defects that could, affect the property's value, safety, or livability, but it's also going to include common defects, right? Things that may not be that important, and that's just a to-do list stuff. You can involve your inspector in on that. Heck, our agents know they can call me anytime. It doesn't matter. They can call me and surprise me and put me on speaker with their buyers and whatever we need to do. The truth is our friend here, not our enemy. We don't need to hide. We need to teach. I think that's a great suggestion for realtors to set that expectation before they even have the home inspection completed, because, we obviously don't live in a perfect world, and no home is ever going to be perfect. How many new construction properties have you walked into that are still not perfect, even though they're brand spanking new?
Everyone. That doesn't mean the defects are unfixable or that they have this huge impact. And that's another point right there. Understand common defects. The message is okay, I do these home inspections and literally everything I find is fixable kind of easy for someone who knows what they're doing, right? Whether roof issues, plumbing problems, electrical issues, all that stuff, even problems that are less educated agents freak out about. Oh my God, the polybutylene plumbing and it killed the deal. Why? Why should it have? This was an easy fix. So even though it's a major concern, it's an easy fix. Why didn't somebody reach out for context? That's where we're failing as inspectors, and not us just, but across industry wide. We need that partnership. We need our agents to know that that's where things fail, not because of the house, not because of the inspector, but because of a lack of communication. Somebody forgot to tell somebody that even things like this are an easy fix for someone who knows what they're doing, and they're not always expensive.
It's knowing common defects in general, but also knowing common defects in your service area. I mean, the common defects that you find in Pinellas County and St. Pete versus Hillsborough County and Tampa could be two totally different types of common defects.
You know what? Nick Ramico told me that there was no need for the mentoring program when training, well, not mentoring through InterNACHI, but the training program, like having an inspector ride along and learn the job for 8 weeks. He's like, why? All they're going to do is see the same 20 defects over and over because they're in the area. Send them to the House of Horrors at ProLabs in Fort Lauderdale. And I fully agree. That's a great thing to do because it'll give them 3 years of experience in just a day or two. But you know what? Also when they work an area, they're also going to be seeing the same 20 defects anyway. So we still need to teach them things like best practices, how to not kill the deal being clumsy, let alone we've got a hard enough job with inspecting the house and making sure everything is reported on in its proper context and communication and everything else without killing the deal because we're clumsy or because nobody told us that maybe it was a good idea to tell the real estate agent that there was a car under the attic access and we couldn't inspect it, and that it would have been best to tell them in the beginning of the inspection because they might have been able to solve it while we were there instead of finding out the next day. See, things like that. Just common empathy. In fact, common empathy is one of the biggest things most people are lacking nowadays. And I don't care who that is. Inspectors, agents, home buyers, sellers, etc. And most especially customer service managers. They're just mean.
I'd like to think I'm not part of that category.
Alistair Aiden Rowley. Yup. Good Lord.
Well, I think this has been really insightful for me too. I mean, I always tell you that these are super educational, insightful for me personally, and it gives us the opportunity to take a breather from the day-to-day chaos and just sit and talk, but also talk about something important.
So let's talk. You know, we got time. I mean, so how do we go about this, right? How do we help? How do we help our agents navigate? One of the things we do is in all our reports, we create like a defect severity scale. You've got safety items. Those are things that could hurt people. It doesn't mean expensive. It just means they could hurt people. We've got our major items, and those are your big ticket items that usually is reflective of price, things like structure, things like water leaks. But even then, it's not always expensive. You've got moderate concerns, and those are things that typically require like a contractor, but it's not something that needs done right now. It's something that could get worse if you defer maintenance for too long. And then you've got minor stuff. And minor stuff is just to-do list items, cosmetic, minor scratch and dent, things that really don't affect how a thing performs. And lastly, what we do as a further benefit, we also include a list of things that were found that also go on a 4-point so that you can scan that list right there and go, oh, okay. I know these are the things that are going to prevent my client from getting insurance. So I know whatever else I ask for, we have to get this addressed. So that's number one. Another thing we do is we provide educational resources and tools, and we talked about that. Our CE classes, our showing specialist classes, everything we do. Like, okay, we've talked about this too, like the pillars. How do we bring value to our agent partners and our clients? And this is how. Service, that's the first pillar. Excuse me. Everything we do has to start from there. We've got to be the best in our industry or among the best at all times. with our home inspections, with the different service levels we offer, whether it's a basic home inspection, the rock solid, or our premium packages, ancillary services like mold, sewer, pool, etc., whether it's insurance inspections, commercial inspections, balcony, we've got you covered, and we are master inspectors, multiple on staff. Everyone else, all of us have been trained by master inspectors. I know, because I did the training. And we hold everybody to the highest level of quality possible. So that's number one. Our second pillar would be our partnership. So whether that is how we work to partner with people to bring the message out, whether that's going to open houses, trade shows, realtor organizations for networking or whatever, we're constantly working to help those better agents get their listings out, get those words out. And remember, these are people we trust. These are people we know won't put our clients into homes they can't afford and don't like. So we're working constantly to promote those who also appreciate excellence. And then lastly, the major pillar is education. We're constantly teaching. I'm an InterNACHI mentor and education partner. I teach home inspectors, I teach our home inspectors, and I'm a teacher of real estate agents. So we're constantly bringing real estate agents to these classes and the CEs and trying to educate them on how to use this home inspection stuff to their advantage. And by the way, not just agents. I'm a teacher at first home buyer classes too. I'm also bringing out this message to first-time home buyers so they know how to make informed decisions. So there's three pillars right there that bring real value. So our resources and tools are there for people to take advantage of. It's just a matter of who's willing, who wants to learn, who wants to be better.
And in this current market, you can't be complacent anymore.
I'm telling you, think about this. Here's another tool agents could do. Checklists and guides. Give the buyers checklists and guides that outline common defects, why they might be important, and some potential remedies. That would like demystify the whole thing and set clear expectations. Or how about this? How about hosting or recommending educational workshops or seminars on the home buying process? I'm doing one this month. I forget the name of it, but it's on the calendar. It's a first-time home buyer workshop, and we're going to talk about what a home inspection is, what we look at, why we look at those things, how to deal with those things, what the responsibilities of the home buyer are, and issues like that. So that's a great way for an agent to set expectations, is to recommend classes like that. Another one is sometimes during the home inspection you might need further evaluation. Have consultations with either contractors or inspection professionals that can provide your buyers with a deeper understanding of specific defects and the best course of action. We're always available. We already do. We're always available for a walkthrough at the end of the inspection, but we're also available after the fact. We know our role doesn't end when we leave the property. Call us. You need to go through the report one more time? Call us. Call me. I'll pull up the report and we can go through it. It works.
There was so much passion in that rant that I'm not even mad that it was a rant.
Was it a rant? Did I ramble on like Led Zeppelin?
But it was fantastic. I mean, you covered a lot of important topics and stuff that I truly believe in as well. The classes that we're involved in obviously propel us into being in front of people, and it's a great benefit for us to see new realtors and new faces. But it's a wonderful experience to join these people and be part of the industry. I mean, I can't say anything but positive things about it, Vito.
Well, I'm glad that we're building what we're building, but I mean, if I had a message to give to anyone listening, it's, listen, I don't care if you used us or didn't use us for a particular inspection. If we can help you be better, and I think we can, and if we can be a resource for you, and I know we can, reach out to us, use us. You won't be disappointed. I told my wife, my beloved and long-suffering wife, Robin, whom I live and die for, before God on this earth, the day I proposed to her, that I could only make one promise, one promise that I can control, and that's I would never let her look stupid for trusting me. And out of that grew my professional my mission, and I won't let anyone professionally look foolish for trusting me. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. It means I'll be honest and I'll stay true to the mission. And that mission is, number one, to protect our home buyers, to help our agents, and to take care of the guys here who take care of their families from doing inspections. To be the best in our industry, to be recognized among our clients and those in our industry as being the best at what we do. We're going to treat every client like family. We're going to inspect every home like it's our own. Professional service, family values, rock solid home inspections, starting at only $245. Boom.
Mic drop.
Right? It's like, it's hard to make home inspections entertaining. It's a pretty dry subject. What we need is P.T. Barnum in here, right? But I'm not selling snake oil. It's, we're not bringing in the clown car. Can you imagine that? 40 home inspectors with big old rubber noses piling out of a little smart car, pulling out a 30-foot ladder.
I was just saying the ladder coming out would be hilarious.
Oh my God, Keystone cops, and they're all scrabbling around like a three-legged dog trying to bury a turd on an icy day.
No, that is a visual. Oh
So
my God.
Before we wrap this up today, did you have anything from Inspection Connections, the email, any specific questions that we need to address that were relevant to this topic? We can hold off the other ones till the next episode.
Believe it or not, I'm a little disappointed with what did not come into our email. However, that could be my mistake and my fault for not promoting it enough. As you know, I am working on some stuff to get more involvement and some people, joining us and being a little bit more involved. And that's something I'll continue to work on to get us growing and, just invite people to be a part of our, whatever you want to call it, Vito. Our overcaffeinated
rant sessions. Tell everyone how to submit their questions again, please.
So you can go straight to your email and email us your questions, topics, and burning expertise at inspectionconnections@gmail.com. It is that simple. If you follow us on our social medias, feel free to DM us directly, comment on any of our posts, stuff that you want us to add. We keep an eye out for that.
That's right. And for every question that we air on this podcast, Aiden has sworn a blood oath to pay your down payment on the next house that you buy. And she will give you a shiatsu foot massage.
I thought the people over at Homegage were supposed to do that.
Oh, that's right. Not a shiatsu foot massage. She will pay your down payment for the house and maybe give you a subscription for the therapy that you're going to need from therapy.com or something.
From after this episode, you're definitely going to need it.
Right? You're not kidding. All right, my friend. Thank you for keeping me awake.
I think your sleepiness was contagious. I started to dozing off there towards the end, and no fault but my own. I think it's contagious, Vito.
You know, I'm going to have to find a way to even be mildly entertaining. You know, maybe I would be better if we hired somebody else to talk.
Let somebody else run the show entirely?
It's your show, Aiden. You're in charge. You be the talent, and I will just facilitate. You take over, and I'll just go where you point.
I lead, and you follow, Vito.
That's right. I'm a man, which means I am in constant need of someone to manage my incompetence. I was raised by women, and probably that's still the solution.
Well, Vito, this has been fantastic. I can't wait to catch you on the next one. Is there anything else you want to close out with for the folks listening?
No, I'm good. I'm done. I'm spent. I'm like Mike Myers.
We're dropping people.
Mike Myers from Austin Powers. He takes like 60 pictures. He's like, and I'm spent.
Well, that's all, folks. Feel free to join us on the next one. Submit your questions to inspectionconnections@gmail.com, and we'll see you later.
Have a great day, everybody. See you next time. Same bad time, same bad channel.